Welcome everybody to another episode of the Peener Cast. Yeah, woo!
Yay! Yeah,
That
you weren't
caught me.
expecting me to join in.
No, I was. Yeah, you have a different voice. I've only ever heard one voice from you. But I'm Alex. As you can hear with me, it's my co-host because we're the only ones who are doing this fucking thing. It's Inu.
Yo, how's it going? It's Inazuna, and if you like this video and subscribe today, we'll bring you 2 videos a day every day. That's what we say.
Okay, we're not old school Shady Penguin Inu. Calm down a bit. But today, usually when we do a Peener Cast, right, we're talking about
We're talking about news usually.
yeah, we're talking about news. We're going over trailers, which I still have to upload 2 podcasts. Yeah.
Man, I just remember that I have those tier videos we did for Digimon that I never upload, and I gotta find where I saved them on my computer.
Oh man, we're totally professional. So at the time of this recording, the Iono videos were last week. Well, we're this week technically because we're Saturday, but we're not gonna talk about them because it's not like big enough to actually make a full hour long podcast about.
Bellabolt is a great Pokemon.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing. Also, just because it looks like Chansey does not mean that it is Chansey. Stop making the comparison on Twitter. It's not funny. All right. Anyways,
I've yet to see this, but that sounds exactly like the Pokemon community.
yeah, no, it's literally it's like, oh, this one round, Chansey round, me make joke. That's pretty much what it is. And people think they're original by making that joke, but literally I've seen it 1,000 times. Anyways, so we're bringing you something a little bit different since there hasn't been any big trailers. Well, okay, I'm gonna quote unquote break the fourth wall like that retard used to say. It's October 15th, so you know that the last trailer that was shown was Bellibolt and Iono. But we wanna make more podcasts because we like making podcasts and we like making content with each other. Specifically me and Inu because we're really good friends and we have a lot of the same interests, being '90s kids, and you know. So there's one thing that me and Inu have that we both love Pokemon, but our tastes in Pokemon are so different most of the time that we figured that I brought up the idea to Inu, like, hey, let's do tier lists going like with each generation and see like because he would create like a really unique tier list because like he doesn't really like Charizard because he thinks it's overrated, but I love Charizard. So if I were to make a tier list, he'd probably be higher than Inu would put him on his tier list. But since we're making a tier list together, it's gonna be in a different like
Yeah,
it should
we're
create
gonna
some. You go for
we're
it.
gonna average out the rows that we would put it in. So as an example, let's say Stantler, for example.
Oh, Styler's not part of it.
I know that's why I'm using as an example because it's
Alright,
not
cool.
in this video. So with Stantler, I love Stantler. Stantler is a great Pokemon in my opinion. I love the simplicity in its design, and I have some fun memories of playing Gold and Silver, hunting one down, catching it, and using it to beat Morty. And I would put it as a solid A. Now, Alex would probably be like, Stantler's just a pretty average, normal type Pokemon, nothing special, and he would probably put it in probably a mid C tier. So we would average out to either high C or low B.
Yeah, it would for me honestly. Like I like Statler's design because you're right, it is a simple design, but it doesn't do anything for me. So like, I would probably put it like bottom of C, at the very least. The very lowest it would go is probably top of D. But yeah, so
And as you can see, we do not have an F ranking because no Pokemon is an F in our opinion.
I mean they can't say anything. I haven't turned the TV on in the podcast in the video.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I went in and I made all these tier lists for all the generations. We're gonna do Generation 1 today, maybe Generation 2 if we have enough time, and then we'll see. We're planning on breaking this up because or else it's gonna be like a 5 hour long video. We don't want that.
Yes. Oh, also, just so you know, we are using only fully evolved Pokemon, and the Pokemon must be fully evolved to this day. So even though in Gen 1, Rhydon was the final form, because Rhyperior exists, Rhydon will not be in the Gen 1 tier,
Yeah.
as sad as that is.
So we're going to be judging off of 3 criterias for each Pokemon. One is how much how much we like the design of each Pokemon. The second criteria is personal use. Like, you have used that Pokemon and it has brought that Pokemon up in your rankings because of it. Like, you had a good experience with it, or you just like using it overall. And third will be competitive use, which again is also personal use, because I know I've played a lot more competitive than Inu has, but I've used some mons that I use in competitive and fucking hated, but usually are really good competitively versus, so it's gonna be like a really sort of biased criteria system, but at the same time that's what we want, because we want to, you know, average out
This
everything between me and Inu.
this is a video strictly for our opinions on the Pokemon. This is not any sort of tier list where we are going through factually this Pokemon is in this tier, this Pokemon is in that tier, because that would be way more homework than either one of us is willing to put in.
Oh no, we're half-assing this car like completely. All right, so let's turn on the TV, and all right. So first we got Gen 1, and we're gonna start it off. We're gonna do it in Pokedex order.
So starting off with number 3.
At least I hope it's in Pokedex order.
It looks correct from what I'm seeing.
So we're gonna start off with Venusaur. So Inu, I know you really love this one, so we're gonna start off with what you have to say and where you would put it.
Okay, so I have used Venusaur in online battles and in leagues, and I love using Venusaur. You know, you can make it a bulky set that's sitting there for stall. It can be used semi-offensively. Personal use, it is the starter I always go through whenever I'm in a Kanto game, and these are all putting it at high levels. However, as much as it pains me to say this, out of the 3 starters, Venusaur definitely is the weakest design of the 3. Ivysaur is a much better looking Pokemon than Venusaur, and because of the design, I can only justify putting this at a top A and not in S tier.
All right, I'm gonna put it there for now. All valid points, my buddy. For me, its design is pretty solid. I mean, if you look at the Bulbasaur to Venusaur transformation, it's a pretty solid design overall, and it fits well with its family.
Yeah, again, nothing wrong with the design. It is, again, just the weakest of Gen 1, in my opinion.
Competitively speaking, you can run it either mixed, or you can run it physical, you can run it special, you can run it bulky, you could run it however you want. I will say though that the fact that like every grass type except for Tangela in Gen 1 is grass poison kind of makes Venusaur more.
Every one of them.
I said every one of them. I said every one of them except for Tangela.
And Executor.
Oh right, but like you have Venusaur, you have the whole Bulbasaur line, who is a grass poison type, and then literally like 2 routes after you pick your starter, you can catch another one that will do the exact same job, in Vileplume and Victory Bell. And unfortunately for Venusaur, I like Vileplume a lot more than Venusaur, so I rarely would pick Venusaur, Bulbasaur, or whatever. So I can't say that I've actually like chosen to use Venusaur in a Let's Play before. So my personal use with this Pokemon is like very low, but I do rank it as the second best starter in Kanto because I fucking absolutely hate Blastoise. So I'm okay with leaving it in A tier.
All right. Can't really argue with anything that you said about Venusaur, and honestly, A tier for the first starter in. I mean, I don't know if it's the first one made, but the first starter in chronological order. A is a very good place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, since you started with Venusaur, I'll start for Charizard. I will just keep going back and forth who starts on which one.
Oh no, that means that you got to start Butterfree and I got to start Beedrill.
It will make an exception. Look, you see, well, I'm just gonna go. Whoop. All right, so Charizard, right? When I play Kanto games, unless I'm randomizing, I always pick Charmander because it's the one I like the most, right? And I know a lot of people will say that Charizard's overrated, blah 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 blah. Game Freak always puts it in game, blah 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 blah. There's even a rumor that it's in the code for Scarlet and Violet, and that the other ones aren't, which I don't think that's fair. I think if they put one in, they should put all three, but at the same time, they always give Charizard. It's true they might give it special treatment, but they always give it enough special treatment that it becomes usable. It's like it's the only mon that gen after gen still has like the same usage in competitive, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it, because this Pokemon is now like 30 years old, and it was one of the most used Pokemon in the early days of the Sword and Shield meta. When it had the Megas, it was used like it was on every team in the beginning of like Gen 6, you know. And I'd say maybe Gen 7 it wasn't used as much, but it was still used because Megas were available, you know. So I think just the fact that it's been, I wouldn't say the top of the competitive ranks, but like still in usage for the past 30 years, fucking remarkable. And personally, I love them on. So just based off of Gen 1 Pokemon, I would put it in S tier because, in my opinion, the other fire types don't hold up. So I'm going to put it there for now. But I'm going to let Inu talk, and and then we're going to figure out where it finishes.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the design. And personally, I'm not a fan of Charizard's design. Like, it's a good design, don't get me wrong. However, I just feel like Charmeleon is a much better designed Pokemon than Charizard. I liked the switch from the orange Charmander to the deep red Charmeleon. I was kind of hoping Charizard would keep that deep red or even go to a darker shade of red. Personal use, I have used Charizard a fair amount. I'm not a huge fan of Charizard. It's my least favorite of the three Kanto starters, but I still use it, and it is fun to play with. It has a decent move set, and I have seen people run mixed or physical or special ones. It's a versatile Pokemon. It's got a decent move pool. As Alex said, people find it overrated, and I wouldn't really say that I think it's overrated, but I think it's overpopular. I think that Game Freak gives it, it gets a little bit more special treatment. It was the only Kanto starter to get, 2 Megas. It was the only Kanto starter to have its Dynamax form in the base game of Sword and Shield. And the anime really loves to play up Charizard as this really amazing Pokemon. And, fair enough. It was Ash's strongest Pokemon in the Gen 1 anime. And it had a very interesting storyline. But it's just really not enough to save the Pokemon for me. And I would definitely, it would be an injustice to put it low on a tier. Like, even as someone who's not a fan of Charizard, I'm not just going to let that make me force it down to a lower tier. But I would definitely give it low B, high C.
All right. So
averaging it out, it
would be like low A, high B,
high B.
Which we'll put them all in rank, and then we'll look it over at the end when they're all placed. So Charizard is starting out at low A, might end up a high B. We'll see we'll see where it goes. Next one up is the Blastoise.
All right, so Blastoise. So Blastoise is my second favorite of the Kanto starters. And honestly, like, I know I've been saying this for all the Kanto starters, but for the first time, I actually think Blastoise has a bit of a better design than its middle stage. But I love Wartortle, but there's just something about Blastoise that just feels like the perfect ending to that line. However, I do kind of miss its little hair tufts on its tail and its ears. personal use, I have used Blastoise in quite a bit of battles. It is fairly fun to play with. I know that it gets kind of shafted into just either Toxic Stall or your Shell Smash, but I, I know you can run it other ways because I have run it other ways, and I've had fun using it. I have not really used it all too much competitively.
Oops.
I know I've fought it in draft leagues before, but I've never drafted it myself. And you know, I would probably put it at a high B. Like this is probably one of the only Kanto starter that doesn't end up in the A tier.
Oh, it's definitely not going in the A tier. But you say high B for now?
Yeah, high B.
Alright. Now my turn. Personally, I find it funny how, like, a lot of the newer Pokemon have people being like, it looks like a Digimon, when this thing literally has cannons on its back, and it's one of the first Pokemon that we've ever seen, and that's like a Digimon trait, is having an actual fucking gun on your monster. So I'm just gonna point that out. I think first of all, that argument that a Pokemon looks like a Digimon is stupid, but it kind of fits Blastoise, if I'm not gonna lie. It's a simple design, and then they added guns to it. Now, this is my least favorite of the Kanto starters, and I've actually gone on record catching Squirtle for Pokedex and not even bothering to evolve it. Competitive wise, the only times I've ever used it was Mega Blastoise in Gen 7. In Gen 8, it was fairly used. I'd say it was, fairly used. I'm being generous. It was used to Shell Smash and then Gigantamax and then use G-Max Cannonade. But even then, it was very counterable, so it wasn't all that great. And personal use, I've never really used. I've used Blastoise in a couple Nuzlocke because I don't have anything better. But like, as soon as I get a water type Blastoise, Squirtle, Wordle, or Blastoise always gets boxed for the first thing. So for me, it's gonna be a high D tier at most. So that would make it a high C tier if we're averaging out.
Yeah, averaging out, it'll be in the C tier, and sadly, I know this is not going to be the only starter to make it into C tier.
Alright, so let's move on to Beedrill. So, design-wise, I love its design. I used to actually not like its design. Until Mega Beedrill became a thing. And I was like, Mega Beedrill looks so fucking awesome. And it's such a nice, like, complement to regular Beedrill's design. It actually makes me appreciate regular Beedrill's design even more. So design-wise, I love this Pokemon. It and its Mega Evolution. Competitive use, it hasn't been in the games since Let's Go, so I can't really talk about how it's been used competitively in the last gen. But its stats are not that great. It is a first, like it is a first route bug after all. Sorry. And being an early bug, the final evolution doesn't really have all that good stats. I say it hasn't been in the game since Let's Go. It was in BDSP, but it wasn't catchable in BDSP. You needed to transfer it over. But in Gen 7, a lot of the times when I did Draft League or if I did build a VGC team, the Mega that was on my team was Mega Beedrill. So I could say I have extensive knowledge and extensive use of Beedrill. Actually, we even made a video about Beedrill, you and I, because it I think its signature move, or it just for some reason knew like Giga Drain or something like that, despite having like a 25 base special attack set as Mega Beedrill. But so for me personally, it's high A tier, S tier at the very least. At the most, well, it's S tier, but I would rank it like mid A, just based off of like my personal experience and how fucking broken its Mega was with adaptability and being one of the fastest mons in the game and one of the hardest hitting mons in the game. It has great coverage and moves and stuff. So just based off of that, I put it at low S tier, high A tier.
All right, so Beedrill. Uh, design wise, yeah, no, it's a pretty solid design. This is what I would picture if someone was to tell me that there was a Hornet slash Wasp Pokemon. Personal use, honestly, aside from a few times using the Mega in battles, I can't really ever recall using this Pokemon. Like, I know I used it in the original Red, Blue, and Yellow at times, just because I wanted to mix up my team and not just use Butterfree. But
For free.
yeah, it's not a Pokemon that I really use a lot. And competitively, like I said, I only really used the Mega, and that was barely. So I don't really have a lot of attachment to this Pokemon. My the most attachment I have to this Pokemon is again from the anime when the Beedrill stole Metapod, and Metapod was mad at Ash for letting it get stolen, but then Metapod jumped in the way of the Beedrill and got broken open for Butterfree to come out, and it beat all the Beedrill. That's kind of the most nostalgia I have when it comes to Beedrill, and I guess the Beedrill Ash had for like 15 seconds of the anime. So I would definitely it's a high C for me, honestly.
All right, so high C would bring it to around
Probably like
low
mid B.
mid B, high B, mid B. So it's B tier. I will say
Ah,
that
B drill in the B tier.
the anime did make it look a lot more deadly than it is. But at the same time, it makes sense because you see a swarm of these motherfuckers. It doesn't matter how strong or weak you think they are. You're running the fuck away. You know.
That is a 3 foot tall wasp. I don't care what its stats are looking like. I'm getting out of there.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Your favorite bug type.
Not my favorite bug type.
Your favorite bug type. Let's go.
All right. So Butterfree. Again, it's like Beedrill. It has one of those simplistic designs that just works. And even though I've never really used it a lot, Dynamax Butterfree is such a beautiful Pokemon.
Gigantamax.
Yeah, Gigantamax. Dynamax just sounds like it should be the one with the dynamic change. I'm sorry.
I know
But
you've said that before, but it's Gigantamax.
yeah, but Butterfree, personal use, I've used this thing more times than I can count in red, blue, yellow, leaf green, fire red. Any game that I can catch a Butterfree in, I usually end up using it for a little bit. You know, it doesn't have the best stats, so it's not a very good late game Pokemon. Competitively, I have used it in competitive battles a couple times in Wi-Fi battles. Obvious tactic is to try to put your opponent to sleep or paralyze them with a spore move. Then you quiver dance up and use compound eyes to hit all of your hurricanes. It's not a very diverse Pokemon in its movesets. However, what it does effectively. And, you know, as I've been bringing in with all these Pokemon, the anime really helped me get an attachment with Butterfree. Watching Ash catch the Caterpie, the adventure it goes on to evolve, and then the Bye Bye Butterfree episode. It is just a Pokemon that is near and dear to my heart. However, because I know that it is not really the best Pokemon competitively, and that is part of the criteria, I can't justify giving it the S tier that I want to give it. So I'm going to put it as a high B for right now. High B for Bug.
All right. So I'm just gonna say I don't think its ranking. I don't think its ranking is gonna change. But design wise, it has that like that Gen 1 feel to it, where it's like it's kind of like a crazy design, but simple design at the same time. Like you could tell that it's like it fits in with all the other Gen 1 Pokemon. I think that its Gigantamax form gave it a boost that it definitely needed to be used. However, because Gigantamax didn't only doubled HP, didn't boost any other stat, it really relies on Quiver Dance to actually do anything. Um, But yeah, I think that it should have got a Mega when it Beedrill got a Mega. I think that was a missed opportunity for Game Freak. But like, I understand if the design isn't there, the design isn't there. But yeah, because of that, I like the Pokemon. I think it's a fairly good Pokemon. I think it's shiny. It's pretty dope too. So I'm gonna put it in B as well. Uh, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much the end of that.
Yeah, but before we move on, you mentioned how it should have got a Mega. You know what? I definitely agree that it should have got a Mega as a counterpart to Mega Beedrill, and I'm still mad we didn't get a Mega Slowking to go with Mega Slowbro.
Yeah, wait till Gen 2 before you make that argument. Come on now. Let's keep So Pidgeot, I'm gonna put this in D tier because I think it's fucking terrible. It's an early route bird. Like, it gets a Mega and it makes it usable. Wow, it's still an early route birds. Generally speaking, for me, if we're talking competitive use, aside from Corviknight, which was fucking fantastic, the early route birds are never the ones that I go for. Staraptor could see some usage because it learns close combat by level up, but Talo is cool design, subpar. I'm not even gonna talk about it on Pheasant. Fearow, which is another early route bird, but we'll talk about later, which I'm going to be starting again, which you can tell where it's going to go. Uh, Also garbage. Noctowl, I like that it learned psychic type moves. It should have been normal psychic or psychic flying. It wasn't. The a big X on that Pokemon. Its early route birds are just never the thing. Fletchling, Talonflame was when it got access to Gale Wings before Gale Wings got nerfed. It was pretty baller, but usually early route birds are all shit for me. The two of them that are in Kanto are both shit, so I'm gonna rank it D tier. It did see some competitive usage. I never used it personally, so I will say though I did like how they gave the Let's Go champion a Mega Pidgeot. But other than that, it's a high D at most for me.
All right, so design wise, Pidgeot, it's not a lot to be desired design wise,
It's a
but
bird with hair.
I will say that when comparing it to the rest of its line, it really is just the bird getting stronger and bigger, and I do like that aspect of it, that it's not a drastic change to its evolutions. Uh, Personal use, I have used the Pidgeline a lot in Kanto games. Competitively, I've never really used it, and I've never really used its Mega, so I don't really have any experience there. But I, unlike Alex, I cannot really give this a D tier, but I can't give it a high ranking. I would probably put it in low C, so it'll just average out to high D anyway, so there's no need to move it.
Perfect. So, up next is Raticate, and you're going first.
Oh boy. Okay. Raticate. So,
There's so much emotion in you just saying that. Oh boy, okay, Raticate.
well, I was stretching.
Oh,
Okay, so Raticate. So, its design, honestly, I cannot complain about its design. It's a perfectly fine design. I am a little disappointed that it goes from this nice purple rat to this regular colored rat. So I will deduct a few points on its design for not keeping that unique coloring. Competitively, I've never really used it.
all it
But
has
I
pretty much is
do,
the fang moves.
yeah, it's got its fang moves, and it's got guts, which is always a fun ability. And I'm sure it saw some use back during Gen 3 meta, but ever since Gen 4, I don't think anyone's ever really used Raticate for anything. Personal use, yeah, no. Honestly, I can't recall if I've ever used it outside of a randomized Nuzlocke or just a Nuzlocke in general. Uh, and my fondest memory with Raticate is when Ash was like, you know what, I don't want this rat. I'm getting my Butterfree back. Uh, Low C.
Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop this. Uh, Cause okay, so out of all the early route mods, this one is definitely the fucking worst. All it has going for it is the fan moves. I I'm not gonna do this for any other mods because the regional forms that other mods got actually improved them in some way, shape, or form, or at least made them different enough to make it interesting. This guy's Alolan form makes it even worse by giving it a 4 times weakness to fucking fighting, and by making it worse offensively, and it makes it better defensively, but it has a 4 times fucking weakness to fighting, which is a common type. There's so many mons learn fighting type moves. It's
But
not
it
worth
gained
it.
an immunity to psychic.
Yeah, but that's garbage. Um, it doesn't guts and the fang moves are really the only thing going for this. Its design is kind of poopy doopy. Rattata's design is kind of poopy doopy as well. I know you like it. I know you like purple too, so that might influence your liking of Rattata. Uh, but yeah, no, this is fucking low D. And if it's the last mon, the lowest ranked mon on this list, I will not be surprised. Personal use, I've never used it because it's fucking terrible.
I will say, like, with you mentioning it being like, it's a Pokemon. You can catch it on Route 1 and 2, but then, like, as soon as you get to Viridian City, just go left and catch yourself a Nidoran, or if you're playing yellow, catch yourself a Mankey.
Alright, I'm just gonna switch these two. I know you like Puro, and I want to talk about Arbok. All right, so next up is Arbok. Arbok. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna say. Okay, so far, out of the 3 that I've ranked first, 2 of them I've ranked in S tier, and then there's the D tier Pidgeot. I'm not gonna put this one in S tier because honestly it doesn't deserve to be there. But I fucking love this Pokemon. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I love everything about Ekans. I love its design. I love that it's shiny as gold. Uh, I just love that it's so original, while being not original as well. Like you would assume that a snake Pokemon would be poison type, but yet like the pattern on its chest looks on its like flap chest thing looks fucking boss, like it's like a fucking face that's mad at you, like it wants to bite your fucking head off. I wish that each individual region had its own pattern, and that if you transferred it in, like there, I don't care if there's like in like 10 years when Pokemon's at Gen 15, Gen 16, 17, 18, whatever, that there's like 20 billion Arbok designs. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd collect them all. I just would like that's what brings its design down a little bit, is that it doesn't matter what gen what it came from, because some gens do have different designs. When you transport it into the latest game, it'll always have the same design. Which I think it's a missed opportunity. Its stats aren't that great, but they're still pretty good. It's still pretty decent. I believe it gets pretty decent coverage. I think it gets good special coverage and not that great physical coverage for a physical attacker, but still pretty decent. So I'd say personal use, I always use Arbok when I can. And yeah, so I put it, mid to low B tier. I feel like that's a good enough spot for that.
All right, so Arbok. So I love its design. Arbok has a very solid design, and I agree. There should be more patterns for Arbok. It is a very missed opportunity because that's something that Cobras do in real life. Uh, I will say, I think there was a missed opportunity when they introduced the Dark type to not slap this onto Arbok, because I feel like that would really help with the intimidating snake thing they were going for. Personal use, I gotta say, I've got no personal use with this Pokemon because I always played Blue and Leaf Green, which are the games that Arbok is not in. Competitive, I never really used this thing competitively. I don't know anyone who's ever used it in competitive battles, which is a little disappointing because Intimidate's a good ability.
Yeah, but there's so
And
many other poison types that are like the two that are the two next ones we're gonna talk about that do that its job so much better than it does. But
yeah, but also the anime, watching Jessie using her Arbok when they fought the Tyranitar so that Arbok and Weezing could escape with the Ekans and Koffings that guy had captured. heart-wrenching moment right there.
Oh yeah, no.
And I think it would be an injustice not to leave this in B tier. Arbok is just a solid design Pokemon, and while there are snake Pokemon I like a whole lot better, Arbok has a special place in my heart.
Nice. Hero.
Okay, Fearow. So, I think Fearow has an alright design. I will say I definitely think that Pidgey, not like the Pidgey line, is better designed in the late game. Spearow is a lot cooler looking than Pidgey, but I like Pidgeot a lot more than I like Fearow. Personal use, I've used it in a lot of early Let's Plays as a kid because I wanted to switch things up and use the other bird. But honestly, I don't think Fearow gets as good of a move pool. And again, competitively, never use this thing. Honestly, it's kind of the counterpart to Pidgeot, so I kind of wish it had gotten a Mega to go along with Pidgeot. But I got to throw this between the two in D tier. I'm sorry. I love Fearow, but like it's a very weak love. And I mean, seeing the Spearow that Ash threw a rock at turned into a Fearow at the end of the Kanto anime before they go to the Orange Islands, that was kind of neat, but that's about the only cool thing I can say about Fearow. No offense to you Fearow lovers.
I will say one thing. Alright? I will say one thing about this Mon. Its only redeeming quality, in my eyes, is that I saw it mirror move Darkest Lariat when I was playing Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and the animation was so fucking funny that I died laughing. That's the only redeeming quality, so it's gonna be staying in D tier. Now, let's move on. Raichu. This is gonna be a controversial thing. Because Raichu is the evolved form of Pikachu, which is the mascot of the Pokemon franchise. But yada yada yada, I don't give a shit. It's gonna be in C tier. First of all, Alolan Raichu blows it out of the water. Second of all, the only thing that's really good about it is that it's fast and it gets Lightning Rod. The fact that you could have a stronger Pikachu by giving it Light Ball makes this thing completely fucking useless in my eyes. Not saying that I would always pick Pikachu over Raichu, but I'm saying, well, what's the point of me evolving my Pikachu if I could give it an item and it would be stronger than its evolution? That, you know, as far as moves go, it gets access to special moves like Surf and Fly and whatever because it evolves from Pikachu that can get those moves through events and shit. I know Inu likes to use Teeter Dance on his Raichus for some fucked up reason because he's a masochist and likes causing pain. But yeah, so I'd say low mid C tier at most for Raichu.
All right, so I love Raichu. Its design is fantastic. I think that Game Freak is doing it a huge injustice by not focusing on it more. I know Pikachu's the mascot of the entire series and all that, but they need to show Raichu some love. Raichu is a great Pokemon. It's got decent stats, and you know I love using this thing. I've used it in a lot of Wi-Fi battles. I've used it a lot personally. Alola Raichu definitely has the better design. I will say that, but no, I just love this chubby little orange mouse that. So as I've been pointing out with a lot of these Pokemon, you know, with the anime, the showdown between Lieutenant Surge's Raichu and Ash's Pikachu, that is something that will stick in my mind forever. I think that was a neat little battle there, and I have to give this Pokemon a solid A. So let's just average it down to low
Part
B.
4. The amount of times...
What?
Well, I don't know what YouTube video that was, but like I was saying, I would give Raichu an A, so we'll just average it down to a low B since you put it in C.
Alright.
Alright. So me, you. Oh, good. I get to talk about a Pokemon I want to talk about. Alright. Sandslash time. I'm just going to say it now. I love Sandslash's design. I love using Sandslash. In Gen 1, the fact that they did not learn any ground type moves by level up is a very disappointing thing. I love Cantonian Sandslash a lot more than Alolan Sandslash. We're putting it in B.
You want to put Sandslash in B?
Yep.
Where in B?
I'd probably put, like, personally, I would put it between Butterfree and Arbok.
All right, so mid B. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this here. Sandslash is amazing, and Alolan Sandslash saw a lot of usage, particularly from me, because I love its design. Sandslash is also one of the first shiny Pokemon that I caught. I remember before Sun and Moon came out, I decided to horde hunt Sandshrew, so I caught a shiny Sandshrew and I evolved it. But yeah, Sandslash is pretty cool. Its shiny is fucking gorgeous, so I moved it to the top of B tier, and that's it. All right. So we're at 40 minutes.
All right.
So let's try and like speed it up a little bit, so we're not here for 3 hours just on Gen 1. All right, so Nidoqueen, it's good. It's not great. It does everything that Nidoking does, but worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it low B.
All right. So I love Nidoqueen. I love, how diverse its moveset is. It, like Alex said, Nidoking is the one that gets stuff done a little bit more because it has the more offensive power. Though I have seen people use Nidoqueen as a way to set up toxic spikes as well. And I think it's going to stay in low B. Like, I would love to give it an A, but I got to keep it in B tier because I do not like its shiny. I wish its shiny was purple to mirror Nidoking, how Nidoking becomes blue in its shiny form.
Right, Nidoking.
Yeah, speaking of Nidoking, I just got to give it a solid A. Great design, great moveset. I love the way that it's used, and it has a very great shiny that just mirrors its counterpart.
I don't have much to say about it that you haven't said already. It's got one of the most diverse move pools in the game. It's got great stats. You can use it physical or special. Personally, I always try to use Nidoking over Nidoqueen just because of that edge and stat in offensive power. And its design is honestly better in my opinion because it looks more ferocious than Nidoqueen does. Also, a negative point to Nidoqueen that's a positive point to Nidoran is Nidoqueen and Nidorina cannot breed, which has always been weird to me.
Yeah.
But Nidoking can, so that's like a point to it. Next up we got Clefable. Clefable, I'm gonna rank this high A tier for now. Because it's bulky as fuck. It gets access to Follow Me. It gets access to Recovery. It gets access to it's a fairy type. So I wouldn't say it's one of the most commonly used ones, but also a point to it sort of is that Clefairy does get friend guards. So if you put any Veilite on Clefairy, you can make your whatever Pokemon is also out with it in doubles take 25% less damage, which is always fun. But yeah, its shiny's kind of lackluster with only like the tips of its ears turning green. But overall, it's a great mon. It's bulky. It hits hard. It could let you set up with your other mon using Follow Me. It also gets access to Life Dew, which can heal your other mon too. So it's a great doubles mon. In singles, it can put in work too. But I say high A tier for it.
All right, I'm going to definitely throw it in high A as well. The great design, great move pool. Alex was talking about all the things they can do in doubles, and I play a lot more singles than Alex does, and just the fact that it has Magic Guard, so you can Magic Guard Life Orb, and it has a very diverse move pool, and that makes it so that entry hazards aren't a problem, and you don't have to worry about getting poisoned by your opponents. It's a very useful Pokemon, no matter what format you use it in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the one I wanted to talk about, Ninetales, S tier. My favorite fire type Pokemon. I love its design. I love its uses. It has one of the most fantastic shinies in my opinion.
Did you say S tier?
S tier. Like, I'm not a huge fan of fire type Pokemon, but this is my favorite fire type Pokemon. It is one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, and I understand that it doesn't have the best stats, but I don't care. This is one of my favorites. I'm putting in an S.
All right, so I don't agree with S tier, but I will say high A tier, so it's gonna stay in S tier for now. But if I don't pick Charizard, this is my go-to fire type. I love Vulpix is fucking cute as fuck. Ninetales looks badass. It's shiny. It's fucking gorgeous. It it does get access to like extra sensory and stuff like that. So it's like it confused
It should have
Ray.
been a psychic type.
It should have been Fire Psychic 100%, especially since the next Fox that came was Fire Psychic type. But it's gonna say an S tier. I'd say low S tier at most for me, but it definitely like high A. Like it's not the best stats, but it's still pretty cool. Alolan Ninetales being Ice Fairy saw a lot of usage, especially with Snow Warning and Aurora Veil. So that just brings that whole family
Man,
just up, So yeah,
if this was a Lola Ninetales, not regular Ninetales, I would have it at a high S instead of just like a mid S.
I mean, I'm counting it all as one. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
All right, so Wigglytuff. This is the Inumon of the generation. Personally, I think it's terrible. The only thing that goes for it's got going for it is its HP stat. So I'm gonna put it in a low C because I know that Inu likes it, so it's probably gonna move up somewhat. So I'm not gonna be too harsh for it. I think Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff are garbage. I have used Wigglytuff competitively. I did a series on my solo channel where I built teams, like I built solo type VGC teams and did 10 battles with them. It didn't really put in the work. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? It did get a bit of the spotlight in the latest big trailer because you saw Jigglypuff with the shining thing. So it's kind of like there. I'm gonna put it mid C.
All right. So I'm just gonna ask that you move Wigglytuff in front of Blastoise because I would give this a high C, low B because I love its design. It's very solid. It's a very cute and fluffy Pokemon.
You have a
It's good
hat.
for what? Yeah, I have a Jigglypuff hat. It does what it's supposed to do very well. It's got the HP bulk and it's got decent defenses. It's here to set up stealth rocks and screens. It does that well. It has some recovery moves. So, it's just there for helping your other team members stall out. But aside from that, it's not much. Vileplume. Okay, I'm just going to say it now. I love the design. The grass poison typing isn't very unique. I haven't really used it all too much myself, competitively or single player, but it is a very solid Pokemon, and I have to give it low B.
Low B. All right. Well, I'm gonna be moving it up to A because this is an S tier. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna be bringing it in front of Venusaur because, in my personal opinion, it's better than Venusaur. I'm giving this a S tier. I've used this mon so much. I love this mon so fucking much. It gets fucking access to. It's first of all, it's a pure special attacker. It's bulky as hell. It gets access to Moonblast, which is fucking killer. It has access to all the quintessential grass type moves, poison powder, sleep powder. I think it gets effect spore or something like that. It gets chlorophyll, which is also Venusaur's hidden ability, but I don't care because I'm not talking about Venusaur right now. It's it's not really used competitively as much as Venusaur is, but in my opinion, it's a better Pokemon. So just based on the fact that I put it in S tier, it's gonna go in A tier.
Oh, also, I'm just going to rewind this a whole lot real quick and go back to Venusaur because you were bringing it up and like the competitive. When we were talking about Venusaur, both of us forgot to mention, Mega Venusaur was very great because of thick fat, and if Megas came back,
Yeah, you're right.
Venusaur would see a whole lot more play.
You're right. That's why I switched them. Is it just because of Mega Venusaur, thick fat? It's kind of broken, kind of bulky. I hated it, so proved that it was good and competitive. All right, Parasect. I love the design. I love the lore behind it. Fucking terrible typing, guy. And
Man, 2 4 times weaknesses for an early route Pokemon.
I'm gonna put it low B, just off the fact that I love its design, and I love how in Legends Arceus it was like one of the most like I'm gonna fucking get your ass, and I'm gonna.
Dude, I did not expect it to be as aggressive as it was.
I'm putting it in a low B, and if it stays in B tier, it'll probably be at the very end of B tier. but that's where I'm ranking it.
I'm keeping it right where it is because everything you said about no Parasect is exactly what I would say about Parasect. Uh, I feel bad for that one Parasect in the anime where the lady was like, "I need it to evolve so I can get the bigger mushroom to make better medicine." She killed her Paris. She killed her Paris for her job.
Yeah, that was the funniest shit though. That was like they were like, take a dive or attack it, but don't attack it.
Squirtle hitting it with the weakest water gun and KOing it.
God damn it! All right, your favorite
All right,
bug type. Let's go.
Venomoth. I love Venomoth's design. The bug poison. It's not the most unique typing, but it works for a moth.
Wait,
Uh,
what other bug poison types are there?
I don't know if there's any other bug poison, but I'm saying like,
Well, there's
it's
Dustox.
yeah, there's dust. But I'm saying like that's the typing you would expect it to have, but it's perfect that it has the expected typing. Uh, can honestly, I've never used it competitively. I could not tell you what things this gets besides the move Venoshock. But I have used it personally in a lot of the Kanto games. Uh, I'd put it above Parasect.
I'm gonna go one more and put it above the Nidorina, Nido Queen. So yeah, this thing's awesome. I love its design. Um, I love that there's that theory that it should be switched with Butterfree because whatever. But you know what?
I
I
mean,
don't
it
really
does
care.
look more like a Caterpie evolution than Butterfree does.
Yeah, but Caterpie's a caterpillar, which evolves into a worm. If you a worm, a butterfly, a butterfly. If you look at like an actual caterpillar versus its butterfly counterpart in real life, they don't look anything like each other. They look completely different. But yeah, so I love this Pokemon. I think it looks fucking baller ass shit. It's got a fucking gorgeous blue shiny, if I remember correctly.
Yes. I was just looking at the shiny because I couldn't remember. It is such a fantastic shiny.
Um, I hold on. Let me do a quick research here. Uh, V Venomoth. Real quick, quick. It hasn't been available in a game, and obviously I'm not gonna. So yeah, you can have it in BDSP, but there's no competitive scene in BDSP, so I don't really count it. But it hasn't been available since Gen 7, which, in my opinion, is kind of a letdown because it's such a great
Yeah.
mon. But hold on, I just want to check something. Its
While Alex is
stats,
looking,
its stats are kind of it's got 90 special attack, 90 base speed. Those are its highest stats. Which, if I'm being honest, it is supposed to be like a mid speed tier special attacker. But it does get access to Quiver Dance, which is what I was looking up. So just that makes it, at least on par with Butterfree, in my opinion.
yeah, I do. I have a very compassionate side for this when going back to the Kanto anime. Focusing on his Venonat and telling it to evolve, and then boxing there. Its move is Venomoth.
Yeah. All right.
Also, the fact that it was beat by Bulbasaur using Whirlwind to knock back the Stun Spore, that was broken.
The Bulbasaur doesn't even get Whirlwind. So Doug Trio, Doug Trio, I'm gonna put it mid B tier, because it's one of the fastest mons in the game, and it plays that extremely well. It's got Arena Trap, which is great.
Hits pretty hard too.
It hits pretty hard too. It looks like 3 pieces of poop just popping out of the ground. I don't like the mon. And I hope that Wiglet's evolution looks nothing like it. I hope that they go an original route with Wiglet's evolution. But odds are it might just be 3 Wiglets coming out of the ground called a Wug Trio or some shit like that. But yeah, so I'm putting it mid B tier just based off of its competitive viability alone. Its design is simple but bad, and personally, I've never really used it because I never wanted to.
Diglett Dig, Trio. I'm sorry, Doug Trio. I love you. Like its design, like Alex said, it's simplistic, which is a good thing for some Pokemon, but not really for Dugtrio. Like, I don't hate the design, but I do wish it was something a little bit better.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we're gonna get into it. Like,
Alolan Dugtrio is 100 times better with that fabulous hair.
yeah,
And
I will say one more thing. We're not gonna get into it because Magneton's not on this list because Magnezone exists.
Magneton does what this does 100 times better.
Yes, that's a big reason why I hate its design because Magneton's is also simple. It's just three Magnemites together, but it looks just better than that.
But Dugtrio, uh, I okay. We're gonna move it down to lower B because I'd give it a high C. Uh, I would. Um, honestly, this might sound like something people are like, oh, why is this a downside? But honestly, I hate that you catch it right before you fight Lieutenant Surge because it just makes that gym too easy.
But that's the thing, though. If we're going off of that, then Squirtle and Bulbasaur are both terrible because the first gym is Rock.
I mean, that's a fair point, but like, I don't know. Like, it's different for the starters because they're the starter Pokemon and all that, but like also the fact that you can just catch Dugtrio so early on. Maybe if it was in like Dark Cave instead of Didlet's Tunnel, I wouldn't be using that as a negative. But
Dark
I
Cave is
don't
in
know.
Johto.
I meant Rock Tunnel.
All right, Persian.
All right.
Uh,
So I start this one because you started Dugtrio,
oh yeah.
and Persian is it's a simple design, and it's very clean. It's a very fast, hard hitting Pokemon. It's
Broken in
actually
Gen
got a
1.
better move pool than I would have expected it to have, but it's I can't justify giving this anything besides a mid B. Like I'd put it right below Raichu.
Okay, so I'm going to be dropping this down to C tier, high C tier.
Oh,
Strictly based on the fact that it's only ever really been good in Gen 1, and that was only because the whole crit mechanic was broken.
yeah, I will also say like I probably should have ranked this a little bit lower because I wasn't thinking about it, but I do not like Alolan Persian's design whatsoever.
Also, the fact that they gave Meowth a Galarian form, and then gave it a better evolution than Persian, brings this Pokemon really down. Like if I'm gonna play Gen 1, like an actual Gen 1 game, I'm probably gonna catch a Meowth and use it. Simply based off the fact that the crits work off of speed and it's the fastest mon in those games, and with the high crit move chances, the high crit chance moves, it's fucking broken in Gen 1. But besides that, it's never been used. It's one of those Pokemon that you catch for Dex and only for Dex. Like we saw Cantonian Meowth in Scarlet and Violet already, and I already know that I'm gonna catch it for Dex, and that's it. I'm not gonna fucking use it. So for that reason, it cannot be higher than high C. Actually, personally, I would put it D, but you put it mid B, so I'm being generous and putting it high C.
I mean, we could put it like mid or low C if you think that would be more balanced.
No, it's good there.
All right.
Golduck. I don't really have much to say about it. I think its design is okay. Um, I'd say I'd rank it between Venomoth and Nidoqueen in mid B, mid to low B. Just because it's got nothing going for it. Like
Yeah,
it's just a duck.
I would definitely probably put it in about the same spot. Like, I love Golduck's design. I will say
It should be
I
water
do.
psychic.
It should be water psychic. I understand in Gen 1 they didn't want to have a lot of psychic Pokemon because psychic only had two weaknesses and Ghost was glitched to where it was resisted by psychic, and the only bug move was Twin Needle that did damage.
Yeah.
But aside from its design, yeah, Golduck really doesn't have anything going for it. And honestly, actually, let's move it behind Nidoqueen is I'm going to drop it just a little bit just because of how terrible its shiny is. I don't like the sunburn orange that they give its
See,
beak.
it really is a missed opportunity for them to not make this water psychic because the whole like lore with Psyduck
Psyduck's headaches.
and that Psyduck's headaches are like built up latent psychic powers. They learn psychic type moves, but then it's just pure water type. Like make
Yeah,
it
like
psychic type.
when they introduced the dark type and then added steel onto a couple things, they should have just added psychic to Golduck. Or at least give us a regional variant that's psychic. All right, Primate. Yeah,
Wait,
I'm just gonna.
wait. Who's it? Is it me or you?
It's me. You started Golduck.
Okay.
Primate. Honestly, I love the design. I love the lore of it being just a very angry boy. Being pure fighting isn't the best thing, and it doesn't really have the best move pool. And I don't think it has the best stats, honestly. But I have a lot of nostalgia for Primate because I used it a lot in the Gen 1 games and just its small little arc it had in the anime, so I'd put it above Venomoth.
All right.
It's a very middle of the road Pokemon for me.
I'm gonna leave it there, but I will say, like, when leaks first started coming in, there was like, and this includes like leaks that are believable and leaks that aren't believable. There was rumors floating around of an evolution for Primeape, which honestly, if it gets an evolution, then it might bring it up because I believe its defensive stats are pretty decent and he could be used to Violite. If those are just rumors and it's not true, well then, Primeape is just Primeape. It's a mid tier Pokemon and that's it.
It's one of those Pokemon that I don't know if it really needs an evolution, but okay, so its base stat total is 455. They've given evolutions to Pokemon with higher base stat totals, but yeah, its defense is 60, special defense is 70, 105 attack, 95 speed.
Yeah, so see, if it does get an evolution, you give it a Violite, right? Then it would be like its defense
90 defense and like 95 special defense.
Yeah, something like that. With it, so and it would still be like a high speed mon. So you'd have a high speed, bulky, hard hitting mon, and and if not, well, I mean, the big problem with Primeape is that you've got Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan right there that the game just gives to you in general. So why would I use it? Mankey is available in that route, in the early route where you can catch, to Victory Road. So you can catch it before Brock and have it basically the entire game if you wanted to, but there's really no point to it. Other than Brock, you won't be using it until you get access to Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, which are far superior. So, yeah. Anyways, Arcanine. Arcanine, I'd give it low A tier, because it is a very good Pokemon. Gets access to Extreme Speed. It gets access to Intimidate.
What's extreme speed? It's when a Pokemon's speed goes to the extreme.
Exactly, and it is called like the legendary Pokemon, even though it's not legendary because apparently
it was originally supposed to be a legendary, but then they were like, "No, the other two were birds. Let's get a third bird."
And it's Hisuian form. It looks awesome. So low A tier for me because of that.
So I'm gonna.
I guess justified too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that we move it above Nidoking because I'm not gonna put it much higher than you would put it. So Arcanine's one of my favorite Fire-type Pokemon. It's funny that most of my favorite Fire-type Pokemon are Gen 1 Fire-types. That's just a coincidence, though. But it's got a great move pool. It's got close combat. It's got Sacred Fire for some reason. Flare Blitz. It's got decent stats. It's decently bulky, decently fast. Intimidate and Flash Fire are good abilities to have.
Yep.
And its shiny form, I love the gold color they go for. And just, it being one of those Chinese lion dogs, that's a bonus for me.
Yep. Poliwrath!
Poliwrath. Okay, so I'm gonna say put this above Golduck. So I love Poliwrath's design. Yeah, it's just Poliwhirl but angry, and the swirls going in the opposite direction. But I love the simplicity in that. The water fighting typing is fairly unique. The only other water fighting Pokemon that we have is Keldeo that
So
I can think
far.
of off the top of my head.
So far.
Yeah, so far. Uh, it's honestly one of the few green shinies I like. And while I do like Politoed just a little bit more, that Poliwrath is just nostalgic.
I'm gonna leave Poliwrath there. It's obvious. It's honestly, it's my choice over. It's my preferred choice over Politoed. So if ever I use a Poliwag, it's gonna evolve into a Poliwrath. Uh, honestly, it's good at what it does. It doesn't do much, but it's good at what it does. So I'll leave it mid B tier. Mid B tier. Alakazam, it's gonna go in S tier. It's by far the strongest, by far the best mon out of this generation. Just because Psychic type was so broken in Gen 1, and it's you know it got it all the bugs and shit were fixed, but it's still like if you go in there with a special attacker, you're going to be hitting it a couple times before it gets knocked out. Physical attacker, not as much. It's got terrible physical defense, but its move pool is pretty great. Attack stats pretty great. It's got great speed. Mega Alakazam looked like shit, but was fucking deadly as hell. So I say low S tier for Alakazam.
Uh, I'm going to say that we just move it down to top of A because I'm going to give it like what everything Alex said is exactly how I feel. It's a great Pokemon. It's a good, fast special attacker. It hits hard. It's got Magic Guard, which I gave great points to Clefable for having that, and it works better with Alakazam. The only reason why I'm dropping it down from S tier to A tier is just it being a trait evolution. Like, I know that that's not a big deal nowadays because the internet and all that, but just when you're a kid and you don't have a link cable or you don't have people around you that also have Pokemon games, and these Pokemon are just locked out to you. When you just are not able to get them because of a game mechanic, it puts a little bit of a sourness in my mouth. And speaking of trait evolutions, up next is Machamp, which I'm going to put that at high C tier. It's a decent fighting type Pokemon. It's got good abilities with guts and all that, but honestly, if I'm being honest, out of all the fighting type Pokemon from Gen 1, this one's just kind of the least memorable for me. And I sometimes even forget that Machoke evolves. And again, if it wasn't for the trait evolution, I would have it at low B, but the trait evolution is just dragging it down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna move it for one simple reason: is that I love this spawn. By the way, I'm just gonna say that I love Machamp. However, based solely on the fact that its special defense is so terrible, and it was introduced in the same generation as Alakazam, which is not only super effective against it, but is a special attacker, means that they probably thought these were going to be counterparts. It'd be like, oh, Machamp versus Alakazam, who's gonna... Alakazam wins 1,000% of the time. So just because it's based off of that fact, it's a C tier. It's Gigantamax form is great. It gets good coverage. It's got fucking fantastic physical attack. It's got good bulk. It's just you put it in a situation where it was gonna lose every time by introducing it the same like they're literally meant to be counterparts. That's what it looks like because they're both trait evolutions. They're both from Kanto. Hell, I'd even say make it a fucking triangle and add Gengar in there.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. I think that it's supposed to be the counterpart to Golem, and Gengar's the counterpart to Alakazam.
I'll just make it a fucking trio, man. Quadruple. Quattro.
Yeah.
I just said four in another language, but whatever.
I mean, like, there's sort of a square there. I mean, everyone's got something that's super effective against the other.
Victory Bell, in my opinion, I'd put it maybe, I'd say mid, behind Nidoqueen. For the simple reason is that it's good. It's very good. Not as good as Venusaur, not as good as Vileplume. It's kind of like the physical counterpart to Vileplume, but Vileplume gets access to like Moonblast, So right off the bat, it's got more coverage. Just plus design wise, it looks like a giant fleshlight with teeth, which is not something that I would enjoy using. So
All right. Yeah, I'd say probably keep it there. I do like Victory Bell. Uh, I've used it quite a bit personally. I've never really used it competitively. Yeah, it is the physical counterpart to Vileplume, and yeah, its moveset isn't as diverse. I think I think it gets Skunk Shot. I'm not entirely sure. I've not used one in forever. Uh, and it gets bonus points thanks to the anime with it and James, but it loses points thanks to the god awful cry the anime gave it. I don't need this thing yelling every time it comes out. Tentacruel.
Tentacruel.
You know what? This is a fairly bulky Pokemon. It's actually faster than I thought it was. I think it's a base 95 speed. Uh, Design wise, I love its design. I did like the anime episode with it. The water poison typing, it helps it in quite a few occasions. I think that it gets access to some sort of recovery move. If not, I mean, at least it has Black Sludge as an option. And I really love using this Pokemon. I'm going to say right behind Nidoking.
All right. Well, I'm gonna boost this up to at least top of A tier because it's amazing. It's bulky. It does get recovery. You can set up spikes with it. You could it'll live and you fucking hit. You throw its way.
It can be your spinner to get rid of hazards.
It's the most out of the entire generation. It's the most viable mon for any situation. So there are mons that in individual situations it do better than it, obviously, but just overall, you could use this mon in basically every situation.
Yeah, okay, so I was a little off with the speed. It's actually base 100 speed.
Oh yeah, no, this thing's a monster.
Most of its bulk is in its special defense with 120, but 65 isn't bad for physical defense, especially since a lot of the physical attackers are types that it resist.
Yeah, the high A tier for that. Golem, I'm gonna put it beside Machamp. Solely because it's also a trade evolution. It's Alolan variant is better in my opinion. However, really? I don't like it when they change a Pokemon's type to make it weaker to make it weak to its original type. But design wise, Alolan Golem's better. It's a trade evolution, so it's kind of like you're stuck with a Graveler for a while unless you got friends that are close by, so or friends that are available nowadays. But yeah, basically.
Yeah. It's slow, but that's to be expected. It's a very bulky Pokemon. It hits hard. Trade evolution's definitely a downside. Yeah, I'd probably keep it where it is. All right, Rapidash. Okay, I love Rapidash. It is an amazing Pokemon. I love it shiny. However, I do think that I prefer the blue flames for Ponyta than the gray flames that Rapidash gets. Competitive wise, it really doesn't have a very large move pool about what you would want to use for it. It's fast and it hits hard and it has access to Will-O-Wisp and it gets Flash Fire, and Fire is it's a very common typing. But it just really doesn't do much and it doesn't see a lot of play. I personally love using Rapidash when I get a chance to, but I don't really get a lot of chances to, and especially if we're talking about Gen 1 games, there are just other fire types I would rather use. So I would put this right above Golduck.
You really hate Golduck. I'm not going to change it because...
It gets access to Wild Charge, which is a fairly decent move, and it helps with the water weakness, but...
I could say a lot of things about this mon, but the one thing that ruins it for me, and it's not even this version of it, it's the Galarian version, it's the eyes. The eyes throw off that entire fucking design, make it fucking garbage. So I'm just gonna leave Rapidash there.
Yeah, if bringing in the Galarian counterparts, I'd put it a little higher, but averaging it out, it's just gonna stay where it is.
Slow, bro.
Slow Oh boy, I can't wait to see where you drop this.
Its Galarian form is pretty awesome. Thanos, if you will. With quick draw ability, all that. It's mega. It looks pretty fucking stupid. I'd say I'd put this up here, mid to high to mid B tier. It's a water psychic type. It's bulky, it hits hard, it's slow as fuck. You know, nothing much you could say about it, other than that. It gets good coverage, but
Yeah. So yeah, I would put it as low A. I love the design. It's just a little ball of goof, and I find that very fun. It's got decent coverage. The mega form and the base form are bulky as all hell. I do like that it gets access to, it gets Thunder Wave, so you can paralyze your opponent. It has access to Slack Off for HP recovery. It has Regenerator as an ability in its base form, so even more recovery. And it's just a very annoying Pokemon. It's fun to mess with people with that kind of HP recovery annoyance and all that. But yeah, like there's not much you can do with it, which is why I would not put it as a high A. But it's just a Pokemon I really love, and I remember just hunting down Slowpokes and Seafoam Islands and evolving it, and the one anime episode it got with the Seafoam Islands being a beach instead of a frozen hellscape. All right, moving on. Farfetch'd. Bottom of C. Like, I love its design. I love that it carries around an onion, but this Pokemon just doesn't really do much. I mean, yes, you can put a leak on it and it gets a power boost and then like better crits and all that, but I don't know. It's just kind of a mid Pokemon, and just the fact that it has a regional variant that evolves, I just feel like that just puts base Farfetch kind of down a bit, knowing that there's a better version out there.
I'm gonna say two things about the Spawn before we move on. One, it's delicious. Two, Galarian Farfetch's evolution method is the stupidest fucking thing ever. That's why it's staying where it is. All right, Dugtrio. Honestly, like, doesn't do much. It's kind of useless, if I'm being honest. It's fast, but it's kind of useless.
Yeah, it's fast. It hits hard. I love its design. The physical special split kind of hurt this guy with Tri-Attack becoming a special attack, because generations 1 through 3, Tri-Attack Dodrio is such a great thing. But yeah, bottom of B is very fitting for this Pokemon. Like, it doesn't do much. It's kind of forgettable as a normal flying Pokemon, but I don't know. I love him. All right, Dewgong. All right, so water ice.
Dewgong.
That's a type combination we haven't got into yet, but there's a couple more in this generation. I love its design. It's one of those simplistic in a good way designs. However, Dewgong just doesn't do much, so I'm gonna say below Dodrio.
Okay, this is just solely based off the experiences on my channel. I love Dewgong.
Yeah, no, like personally, I love Dewgong. I wanted to rate him higher, but since we're talking about like battles and all that, I just couldn't put him higher.
So Muck's going in S tier. Why? Two reasons. Muck is awesome. Alolan Muck is fucking awesome. Alolan Muck for the longest time was the only counter to fucking Tapu Lele, which was fucking awesome as hell. Great typing, double and double Poison Dark. I believe the stats are the same. So, but I loved Alolan Muck so much that just the entire Muck family is just amazing to me. So I'm putting it in S tier.
All right. So we're going to be dropping it down to A because I can only give Muck a B tier. I love Muck as a Pokemon. Don't get me wrong. Most of my nostalgia of Muck comes from the anime with Ash's Muck and its spawn with Professor Oak. I just don't really have a lot of memories of really using this Pokemon because, by the time that I got a Grimer or anything like that. I normally had my team already kind of set up how I wanted it to be, and just never really used Muck too often, and I've never really used it competitively. Being a pure poison Pokemon hurts base form. The dark type that Alola Muck adds helps the Pokemon, but just not enough to where I can justify giving it anything higher than top of B.
All right. Next mon is Cloyster.
Cloyster. Okay, so
Cloyster.
Cloyster. All right, I love Cloyster. I love its design. I like the type combination of water, ice. I told you there was going to be more on this list. However, the fact that all it's good for is high physical bulk and then shell smash, skill link, that kind of drags it down a bit because, like, I personally don't mind using that set, and I love Cloyster, and it's got it's got bad speed and it's got real bad special defense, so there are counters to it to where you can destroy it before it has a chance to set up and do all that fun stuff. But the fact that when you see a Cloyster, you know what Cloyster is going to do, that is the only reason why I have to give it a mid B.
All right, you put it mid B.
Like, right, probably below Venomoth.
All right, I'm gonna move this up to here. Actually, no, up to here. You know what? End of A. For the sole reason that this mon is the embodiment of the Inazuna Revenge Tour. Story time, real quick.
Oh.
Inu was the winless wonder in a season of Draft League that we did. He was like 10 games or 15 games between there. He didn't win any of them. Next season, he drafts Cloyster, and he starts winning a bunch because all he did was fucking shell smash killing Cloyster. He was on his revenge tour. I still think he missed the playoffs in that season, but he did actually win games, and we were all surprised. But it was mostly because of Cloyster. So just based off of that fact alone, because I'm giving props to Inu for actually drafting well for once, I'm gonna move it to the bottom of A tier. All right, Gengar. I mean, I'll put it bottom of A because
what's to say about Gengar that we haven't said about all the other trait evolutions in Kanto?
But I'm gonna put it bottom of A because, like Alakazam, it's really useful. It's really good. I just prefer Haunter better. So I've never had the problem of wanting to evolve my Haunter. So but it is really good. It gets a Gigantamax. It gets a Mega. It gets a blah 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 blah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm going to keep it where it is. Its shiny is very disappointing, but it has a great Mega.
Mega shiny.
Ever since it lost Levitate, it hasn't been as good as it used to be. As a ghost type that hits fast and hits hard, it's very useful. The poison typing is good because it gives you something for fairy type Pokemon. I agree with Alex. Haunter has the better design, but I do like Gengar's design. And the reason why I'm keeping this at low A and not putting it sort of mid A, 1, trait evolution. 2, as a kid, I did not know how Haunter evolved. And I remember training a Haunter that I caught in the Pokemon Tower up to level 70. And then one of my friends being like, oh, can I get that Haunter from you? I'm like, sure, I've trained this thing up to level 70 and it still hasn't evolved, whatever. He's like, what do you want? It's like, you know what? Just give me the Raichu. I haven't caught one of those yet. So then we're trading in Pokemon Stadium. And then I'm just looking at his TV and I see Haunter evolving into Gengar. I'm like, wait, that's how it evolves? I didn't know trait evolutions were a thing. I did not know that because I was a kid. The internet was just starting to be a thing. I didn't have a game guide. And I didn't have anyone else to trade with, and that friend would not give me my Gengar back or didn't even bother to go catch a Haunter so that we could give me a Gengar. And I've just been salty about Gengar ever since.
Cool. Hypno!
All right, Hypno. All right. I'm giving this a solid below Golduck. I like its design. I find it a little bit... I'm pretty sure Hypno is a mixed attacker, which I find a little weird. I like its design. I like it a lot more than I like Drowsy's design. However, Hypno is just kind of their Pokemon. It just doesn't do anything. Okay, base 115 speed's not bad, and I guess base 73 physical attack and special attack aren't bad either. Oh, sorry.
All right, hold on.
115 is its special defense. Its speed is 67. Never mind. It's slow. It doesn't really hit hard either way, but it's got decent bulk, I guess.
All right. And we're back. Sorry, I had to go pee. I had to pause the recording. All right, Inu, you had just finished talking about
Hypno.
Hypno. I don't know if you had more to say.
Nope, I was done.
I'm gonna leave it there. Because I don't really like them on, but whatever. I'm also want to speed this up because we got quite a few more to go, and we're at an hour and a half. So Kingler's awesome. I think its Gigantamax form is kind of dope. I'm gonna put it below Cloyster because I feel as a water type, Cloyster's got an advantage. But Kingler is bulky, hits hard, but it's good. A tier.
I mean, sheer force, life orb, get an agility off or sword stance off. This thing's sweeping. A is a very good place to put this. All right,
Electrode.
Electrode. Diglett, Nidoran. Okay, Electrode. It's fast. It's especially hits decently. Pure Electric's kind of it's a bonus and a downside. I would say, you know what? Let's put it right above Golduck.
Wait, hold on.
There we go.
I don't know why it like zoomed in for some reason.
I don't know, but yeah, I'd put it like right above Golduck. It's an alright Pokemon. Doesn't really do much.
Its Hisuian form brings it up, so I'm gonna leave it where it is. Right above.
God, it got in a Hisuian form.
Exeggutor is S tier. Yeah, Psychic type, especially in Gen 1, there was only one move that was 4 times super effective against it, and the only Pokemon that had it was Beedrill. So
yeah, you know what?
It's top of S tier.
Decently bulky. Harvest is a good ability. Lets you spam those berries. Alola Exeggutor is the meme Pokemon. I would put it between Arcanine and Charizard's where I would put it. So averaging that out, it'd probably be like
bottom of S, top of A.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it in S right now.
Marowak. Okay, I love this Pokemon. I always found it weird that it got Lightning Rod as an ability, but I guess that's for switching in. But Lightning Rod's kind of useless because it raises special attack, and this is a physical attacker. Ground typing's pretty fun. I love the lore of it. It gets decent moves. Right above Sandslash.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put it above Nidoqueen, solely because of its Alolan form. Alolan form really. I've used it extensively in VGC in 7th Gen. I know it inside and out. Its Alolan form is really. I still think that it's stupid that Game Freak didn't put Shadow Bone in the Let's Go games, so that in those games it doesn't get its signature move. But yeah, his Alolan form. My judgment is solely based on the Alolan form. And that's why it's going there. Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is the better one of the Hitmon, so I'll put it low A. I mean, that's it, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, its move pool isn't super diverse, but it's got good abilities. It's got good attack and good speed. Low A's good. Hitmonchan. You know what? I'm gonna put this at right above Slowbro. I like Hitmonchan's design a little more than I like Hitmonlee's. It's got a little bit more special bulk than Hitmonlee does. And the physical special split really helped this because in Gen 1, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, and Ice Punch were not good on this Pokemon. But ever since the physical special split, the punching moves are better on the punching Pokemon. And that's all I gotta say.
I'd personally rank it lower, but honestly, it's B tier is like the same. You know, whether you're in top B, bottom B, it's kind of the same. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is.
Middle of the road Pokemon.
Weezing, I'm putting it in S tier. I'd say mid S tier, just because it's so fucking bulky. It gets set up toxic spikes. It gets a great fucking move pool. It could do everything. And now with neutralizing gas, yo, God, don't even. Abilities are neutralized. Galarian form, fucking awesome.
Yeah, all that stuff that you said, aside from the fact that it doesn't have any decent special defense, and also if you don't want to use neutralizing glass, Levitate's a great ability for a pure psychic type Pokemon.
Poison type.
Yeah, I meant poison. Yeah, I'd say I'd put it below Executor because it's like a little bit of a better muck in my opinion. All right, Kangaskhan. All right, so in the original game's one of the hardest Pokemon to capture, but it's got good stats, it got good moves. Scrappy's a great ability.
Yeah, if we were to focus, if we were to focus on its mega, it would be here.
Yeah,
but
I'd put it I'd put it right above Vileplume. Like it's got decent moves, it's got decent coverage, it's got good stats, and
all right, well, I'm gonna drop it a little bit, because it's got all that, but it really rose to prominence with its mega, and without its mega, it's really just mid.
Yeah, Parental Bond, Power Up Punch, Sucker Punch. I remember seeing that a lot.
Like even with even with Parental Bond's nerf in Gen 7, it was still one of the better megas. So
yeah, and like I said, Scrappy's not a bad ability because now you can double edge those ghost types.
All right, we're just gonna get this over with.
Well, I'm the one who's got to start this, so we're going to be.
No, you started Kangaskhan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. So you're throwing it in D tier.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible Pokemon. Looks like shit. Right. The only thing it's got going for it is that it's immune to electric if it has Lightning Rod.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and switch that from bottom of D to high D because, Lightning Rod, you mentioned that, and I would just put this at a solid like mid C tier because I love its design, but that's about all it has going for it.
Now this is you. Starmie.
Yeah, Starmie. So I'm going to just put this right below Tentacruel because the Water Psychic's good combination. It hits hard, especially. It's got good speed. It's got recovery. It has the ability to rapid spin away hazards. The only problem is it can't really set up hazards itself. And, Water and Psychic, so it's weak to Electric and Dark, which are common typings, but it's got good typings for coverage.
I'm going to put this above Tentacruel based solely off the fact that I think 1v1 Starmie wins.
Yeah, honestly, Starmie's always one of those Pokemon I'm surprised it hasn't got a regional variant or some sort of extra form.
Yeah, I think honestly it's the Pokemon that should get an evolution. But Mr. Mime, I'd say it's a bottom of B. It is a fairy type. It did get the fairy type, but I think it looks like garbage. The Galarian form, it doesn't look any better, but it does evolve into Mr. Mime, which I fucking love that Pokemon. So it does buy it up a little bit for me. Mr. Mime itself, Mr. Mime Jr. is adorable. Mr. Mime is kind of a fucking train wreck of a Pokemon. So yeah, I'm just gonna put it bottom of B.
All right. I'll keep it there. Design's kind of lacking. It's good for setting up screens, and it hits decently well. Psychic Fairy is a pretty good type combination.
Your favorite Pokemon, Jinx?
All right, Jinx. Jinx's stats aren't terrible. They're not the best. It's got access to some decent moves, and it's got Sweet Kiss and things like that. Design-wise, I've never really been a big fan of Jinx's design. Right above Hypno.
Me, it's these things. Like, what the fuck are those?
Yeah.
Are those her hips? Or her hips just like sticking out like like horns? No. I don't got much to say about Jinx, honestly, because it's mid tier in design, stats, and move pool. It's just a mid
evolution.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's too mid to get an evolution.
But it got a baby at the same time as Magmar and Electabuzz. It should got an evolution at the same time.
So, Pinsir.
I'm not even gonna lie, I forget this gets a Mega sometimes.
Just based off its Mega and how good its Mega was, I'm gonna put it top of B tier. It's the same kind of reason as Kangaskhan. The only difference is that Pinsir is with the bug typing and like Mega Horn and shit, it gets more use. But it's still it needs its Mega to really bring out its max potential. It's the same thing as Kangaskhan. So top of B tier.
Yeah, I'd probably put it there as well. If I remember correctly, the Mega adds on the flying type, so it adds
Yeah.
extra weaknesses and it gets the 4 times weakness to Rock, but
And it gets
it hits
Aerial 8.
hard. Yeah, Aerial 8, so its normal type moves become flying type moves. So, you get stab priority with quick attack now and things like that. But just yeah, its Mega carries it, and its design isn't bad. Its Mega, honestly, I was not a fan of its Mega design, but that's neither here nor there. Tauros. All right, so I'm going to say S tier. It's my favorite normal type Pokemon. I love the design. Sheer Force Life Orb, and it gets a lot of good moves that it can use with Sheer Force. And it's just a very memorable Pokemon, especially when you look at the anime and all 30 of the ones that Ash has.
29. One of those is Brock's. Which I will bring that up. That's a fucked up thing, right? So
Yeah,
they go to the Safari Zone. Brock takes one of Ash's Safari balls and catches the Tauros, but because it was Ash's ball, it belongs to Brock. But in the Alola anime, Jessie grabs James's luxury ball and catches Mimikyu, but that Mimikyu is hers.
Also, in the Johto anime, that kid steals one of Ash's Pokeballs and tries to catch Pikachu and catches the Bellsprout, but the Bellsprout isn't Ash's.
They play fast
It's
and
very
lose.
inconsistent.
Yeah. I will say I love Tauros. Tauros is one of my favorite Gen 1 Mons. Is actually I think the Mon that Inu and I vibe with together the most on. And Inu, I've seen the leaks of Scarlet and Violet stuff.
Yeah,
more.
I hear he's supposed to be getting like a regional form or an evolution.
I mean, I don't really want to spoil it for you, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it when I see it.
let's just say I'm very happy with what he's getting, and I know you're going to be very happy with what he's getting too. And it's going to be kind of weird, but it's going to be a good kind of weird.
All right, moving on to
Gyarados. Gyarados is S tier 2. The whole lore aspect, the competitive aspect, the competitive viability, his Mega, just having Intimidate. I've lost so many fucking Mons and Nuzlockes to Gyarados. He's S tier for sure, 100%.
Yeah, all that stuff plus just the iconic red Gyarados. You can't put Gyarados both. Like, S tier is where I agree that he should be, but you can't put him anywhere below an A.
Oh, 100%.
All right, Lapras. One of my favorite Pokemon. Another water ice Pokemon. Huh, man, we sure are getting a lot of those this generation. But
There's only
it's got
3.
it's got decent bulk. It's got decent moves. It has all right abilities. It's got not Storm Drain, but the other one that makes it immune to water.
Water Absorb?
Yeah, Water Absorb, that's it. Honestly, I would put it, just because of personal use and all that, I would put it above Gengar.
I'm going to go ahead and put it above Venusaur, based solely on the fact, and I know it's not going to, this is a thing that's not going to be useful anymore, but its Gigantamax form special move give it basically Parashong, damage Parashong.
I thought its move set up the Aurora Veil.
No, I gave it Parashong. I'm pretty sure it gave it Parashong. Pretty damn sure he gave it Perish Song.
Uh, let's see now. Let's see now. Where? Max G Resonance, an ice type attack that Gigantamax Lapras uses. The move reduces the damage received for 5 turns.
Then who got Perish Song?
I know that when you fought them in the dins, it would use Perish Song.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, but even still, being able to Gigantamax and set up a
oh yeah, it does set
Aurora
up
Veil
Aurora
without
Veil.
having to have the hail up. Yeah, Aurora Veil is a great thing to be able to set up for free.
It might have just used Perish Song.
Yeah.
Because I remember, all I remember is every Gigantamax Lapras I've ever fought has used Perish Song or had Perish Song up at some point. All right. But its Gigantamax form was still fucking dope. Ditto. I'm gonna put it low D tier, cause like yeah, you could use it in battle, but really its only use is to breed mons, so it should go low D tier.
All right. So I am going to agree with the low D, just because the reason why it's useful in battles is because you just steal someone else's useful Pokemon. Like, Ditto itself is not the reason why it's good in battle.
And also, it needs to be imposter, because you for it to be like really effective, you got to put Choice Scarf on it. And if you're using, if you have to use Transform,
then once you don't have Transform on the Pokemon anymore, it'll just put you at freaking struggle. Yeah. But yeah, Ditto would. Like, Ditto's not a bad Pokemon. Its design is pretty alright, but it's just for breeding.
Vaporeon!
Alright, so Vaporeon, I love it. It's a decent bulky Pokemon and all that. It has decent water and ice moves. I don't like what the internet has done to Vaporeon, but I'm not going to let that affect my judgment. And I would put Vaporeon right between Arcanine and Marowak. That's where I'd drop it.
I don't really like Vaporeon, but out of the usefulness of the Mon and the fact that it's, one of the best water types you can get in Gen 1, and it's still fairly viable. I remember fucking Pokemon Go, it was like the best Pokemon you could get before they introduced like a Mewtwo or whatever, so I'm going to leave it there. Plus, the evolutions are always like safe choices, so, Jolteon, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tier because it's really frail, but it's hella fast and it hits kind of hard. So it's a better
Jolteon.
It's a better Raichu.
Yeah, I mean, Raichu's got the up in the fact that it can be physical or special, but so Jolteon, yeah, I think I would put it there. It's got Volt Absorb as an ability, so if your opponent has a decent Electric-type Pokemon, you can predict the switch out. Hits hard, hits fast, it gets Volt Switch. Yeah, I think low A is good. Alright, Flareon. So I know Flareon isn't used the most competitively, but it's got Guts, and it's got Flame Charge so that you can get that speed boost. Fire's never a bad thing to have on your team. I'd put it right above Hitmonlee.
Alright. I'm going to leave it there, because that's a fair assessment of it. I will say, though, that anytime I play a Kanto game, if I cannot get a Charizard, my fire type on my team is always a Flareon. And even, there are a lot of games where Flareon is just on my team. If I catch an Eevee, I evolve it into a Flareon. It's just Fairyon's my favorite
Honestly, like
evolution. It's
out
a
of the
very
Kanto,
solid fire type.
yeah, it's got great special bulk, and out of the Kanto evolutions, it's got the best design in my opinion.
The only thing that hinders it is it gets guts, but it can't be burnt.
Yes.
So you have to either have lower speed or you have to cripple yourself and put yourself on a timer with poisoning yourself. But other than that, it's a great Pokemon. It's got a fucking high attack stack. It's got decent speed. It's got good defenses. It's a pretty decent
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Where's
And
our we got the Flame Orb, we got the Toxic Orb. Where's our Shock Orb to just paralyze our Pokemon?
I don't know. Ask the fucking devs, man. All right. I'm just gonna say it right now. The next two are like equal to me. We got Amistar, which I'm gonna put high B tier because honestly I'm indifferent to either of them. I always tend to go more Amistar than Kabutops because I like Amistar's design more, but they're the same fucking thing. One of them's physical, the other one's special, but they're the same fucking thing.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment for it. Like, you know, Omastar, it's bulkier, it's a special attacker, and you know it's got the Shell Smash stats, but you can use it to set up spikes and stealth rocks. So it can either be your Hazard Mon or a Shell Smash sweeper in the mid or late game. Gets access to Swift Swim, which is a good ability, but Kabutops has the same ability. Yeah, I'd throw it in B, and then Kabutops. Honestly, the best thing about Kabutops is its design. I would say right below Omastar for me. Like, it hits hard, and yeah, you got Swords Dance, and you got Priority Aqua Jet, which will hurt a lot because it's stab, and this thing has a good attack stat, but just doesn't do much.
Two things I like about this mon are one, it's its codpiece, and two, the fake lore that Genesect is a modified Kabutops because they sort of look like each other.
Yeah, and they were alive around the same time period.
Yeah. Aerodactyl, I'm going to put it, like, what? Oh, what? Oh, okay, it saved.
Oh, good. It saved all our progress.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it above Lapras because it's one of the fastest ones in the game. It's a great rock setter because no one's outspeeding outside of priority. It's got the rock type. It's the only rock flying type in this gen. I think it's the only rock flying type till Minior.
Archeops.
Till Archeops. So for 4 generations, it was the only rock flying type. It's really fast. It hits hard. It gets a decent coverage move pool. So its mega looked like shit, but was really good. So I'm gonna put it mid A.
Yeah, I'll give it in mid A. Like, the mega was pretty good. Like you said, it's good for setting up the stealth rocks. I'm going to double check this, but I believe it gets Tailwind.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, if it can survive the hit, this thing has. Oh, all right. Yeah, if it can survive the hit, this thing can set up a Hone Claw, so get that attack boost and the accuracy boost. You're not missing any Stone Edges, and Stone Edge is going to deal decent damage to whatever it hits. So mid A is perfectly fine.
Our good buddy Retro Snorlax's favorite Pokemon.
All right, Snorlax.
Honestly, yeah, just based off its bulk and you know, physical its bulk, its attack stats, its move pool, everything, just based off of that, and the fact that it's like, it's got great lore because it's literally the Pokemon that sleeps all the time, and in the games you have to wake it up and battle it. Just based off of that, S tier it. Fuck it. It's a giant kitty cat.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was based off some guy in the Nintendo offices, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but it's a kitty cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought the Snorlax more like a bear than a cat, to be honest.
Got cat ears. You knew it's a kitty cat.
Yeah, yeah, you know what? S tier's fine. It's a very nostalgic Pokemon. It's pretty decent for a pure normal type Pokemon. All right, moving on to the legendary birds.
Articuno. Honestly, like I don't want to disrespect it, but I'm gonna put it bottom of C because it's 4 times weak to rocks. It's
Yeah,
you got this like super powerful Pokemon that's like the fucking controller of winter or whatever, and it's like I could throw a pebble at you and kill you. So
all right, so I would definitely put it kind of like mid to low B personally, because Articuno is my favorite of the birds. The ice flying, it's definitely a hindrance, but it's just such a beautiful design, and it gets decent moves. It's got recovery. It has uh, decent attacking moves. It's an alright Pokemon, but the weakness to rock just really hinders it.
Zapdos.
Objectively, the best of the Kanto birds when it comes to viability in battle.
Mm-hmm. 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 I mean, you're gonna place it somewhere, or
Oh, yeah, it's your turn to go first. Oh no, it is my turn to go first.
yeah, I went first for Articuno.
Honestly, like it deals decent. It hits hard. It's got tailwind. It's got roost and all that. It's got heat wave for coverage. But I don't really have a lot of nostalgia using it, so top of B.
Top of B, I'd put it top of A just on its viability, so we'll put it like mid A.
That's fair.
Moltres, I think it's a more powerful Charizard, but still Charizard has Megas, has G Max,
Has a better move pool.
has a better move pool. So I'd say like bottom of B. Plus, it suffers the same weakness as Articuno, being like it's supposed to be this really powerful legendary Pokemon, but you throw a fucking pebble at it and it dies.
Yeah, honestly, because of like the less viable move set and all that, and just also it's, in my opinion, the weakest design of the three birds. I would put it like I'd put it above Farfetch personally. So like mid C, I guess, is where we'd average it out. Yeah, that works.
Its shiny is the best one though, because it looks like it's just burnt chicken.
Yeah.
Dragonite. I mean, we kind of gotta put it up there. It ruled the metagame for like fucking 30 years before they introduced us to the fairy type.
Yeah, I mean, Short had the 4 times weakness to ice, but people weren't really using ice types for the longest time. It's got good abilities. It's got a great move set. It can be run physical, special, or mixed. Yeah, I think S is a good place to put it. Mewtwo. All right. Honestly, ever since it was introduced in Gen 1, Mewtwo's just always been Ubers. We got to put it in S tier. The lore for the Pokemon's great. The design is very solid. It's got 2 megas, so you have the options for your physical or your special Mewtwo.
Yeah, it's got a penis butt. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to put it in S tier because it is a legendary Pokemon and
No,
all that.
and then you got its Megas too that are both fucking awesome. And like, I'm not sure if it's actual lore or if it's just me that's trying to make sense of it, but like, it wouldn't make sense if they gave, if Mega Charizard X was on a normal Mega Evolution and they were like testing out to see if they could create Mega Evolution so they could give Mewtwo Mega Evolution, and that's why it's Dragon type. But I'm not sure if that was actual lore.
Like,
but
a lot of people have had the same idea. It's not official, but a lot of people have thought that way, myself included.
But it makes sense being, but yeah, both of its megas are fucking awesome. I prefer Y over X because I don't really like the psychic fighting, the dual typing.
I prefer Y over X on a design basis mostly. Y just looks so much better in my opinion. All right, and now we got Mew.
Yeah, go for it.
I did Mewtwo. I started Mewtwo, so you got to start Mew.
Oh, well, I hate Mew, so I put it there.
All right, I love Mew's design. I love, its gimmick of being able to learn any TM and all that. And it's got decent stats and all that, but I got to give it a downgrade for the fact that, it's always been event only. And with Mewtwo having 2 megas, I feel like we should have got a Mega Mew at some point. I would put it like, yeah, I'd put it like mid A tier. So you put it in D tier, so it's going to be like mid B with the averaging out. Below Nidoqueen, does that sound fair?
Sure. I like that its gimmick is it can learn any move because it's like the original Pokemon or whatever
The
has a
progenitor
DNA.
of all Pokemon.
I just think it's like it's a fetus cat. Wow,
Yeah.
it's got base 100 stats across the board. Wow, it's not. I don't like it, especially
That's
considering
fair
especially considering the fact that in the generation that it was introduced in, you either could
You couldn't get it
You-
unless
you-
you,
you-
went to a very special event.
or you did some stupid fucking intricate fucking glitch, and then even if you had it use transform, it would when it was done the battle, it would transform into a Ditto, so you would lose it.
I never knew that part of it.
I mean,
I never used transform on my Mew, but yeah, I always did the glitch.
but yeah, so that's our final ranking of Gen 1.
Honestly, we agreed a lot more than I thought we would have.
Yeah. But
That's definitely going to change with later generations.
yeah. 'Cause we don't really use Gen 1 mons all that much. Like we well, not you. We don't really talk we don't really talk about the Gen 1 mons all that much.
We also just don't do Gen 1 content together a lot.
No. And most of the times when we like do Gen 1 stuff, it's mostly like we're doing Gen 1 random battles on Showdown.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyways, that's a 2-hour fucking video. I did not think it would take this long.
If you made it this far, or if you just skipped to see our final rankings, do you agree with us, or are there any Pokemon you would have moved around to a different tier? Let us know, and let us know why.
Yeah. And then we'll let you know why you're wrong. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. But if you guys did enjoy it and you want to see the other rankings, or whatever content we come up with next, because there will be Scarlet and Violet content on this channel, I guarantee it. Subscribe.
Also, YouTube analytics are letting us know that 0% of our viewers are subscribed.
Yeah, so subscribe now, bitches.
But I have been Inu.
That was Inu. I've been Alex. Check out our other Peenercast episodes and the rest of our content on our channel. I know we don't really upload that frequently, but it's good. Maybe. But yeah, so we'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.
Ciao.